I'm Matt Jones. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I'm 27 years old.
Okay. And currently a student at CMU?
Currently a student, yes.
Okay. And you're junior, correct?
Yes, this is my junior year.
Perfect. And like our other Potter, Ashton, you take classes at the Art Center, and is that one of your main?
I have taken a class at the Art Center, but I started ceramics with Damian Radis. Moved into one of his rental units about 5 years ago, and so I've been mentoring under him for a while.
Okay. So I'm assuming he would probably be one of your biggest influences artistically?
Yeah, I would say Damian's my largest influence in ceramics. There's something a little more intimate about a personal relationship that you build through the process of growing in the arts. Rather than just modeling my work after something that I've seen, there's this relationship that grows alongside the work.
Right. And I'm a huge advocate of the artist morphing constantly changing. Their life changes, their art changes. Where have you seen, from where you started ceramics to where you are now, the biggest changes?
Oh wow. When I first started ceramics, I tried to make more Asian influenced pieces right at the beginning, which proved to be a little bit more difficult than it seemed. I later realized that I would come back to that, but I started more modeling my work off of Damian's style and really learning as much as I could about the right way to do ceramics. And then once I gained some proficiency, I started then integrating things about myself so that the work was more dynamic and speaking a language that was unique to me.
Which is sometimes really hard to do, especially with ceramics, is putting some of yourself in every piece. And it can be you throw a pot and dip it a couple times and call it good, where you're a very intricate potter, and every single step of the way is a detail about you and about your piece. And I think you just really bring the art into ceramic art, that you create something that really is a piece of art alone, whether it's with the set or by itself. But you have a couple examples next year you'd like to kind of explain?
Well, I guess we'll start with this one here. This is a piece that I was experimenting with over the summer, kind of a new shape with a pedestal foot, smaller handle. One of the reasons why I do this is I tend to think a larger handle doesn't really suit a smaller piece. It kind of looks like a very large handle on a very small item. So as the cup enlarges, I try to also compensate for that with the handle. So this particular one is a one-finger mug, but I really pay a lot of attention to not only the visual aesthetics of the piece, but also its comfortability. It has to be comfortable in the hand as well as when it touches the mouth. So a cup is really an intimate object. So somebody's gonna use it every day, and when it functions in that sense, it needs to be very comfortable. The decoration on it is created by a salt fire atmosphere, and the piece itself has a sense of asymmetry to it as well as abstraction, and I really like the fusion between the abstract and really fine detailed work. I think it creates a sense of balance, just like hard techniques and soft techniques and fast techniques and slow techniques. So as much as we can encompass into the work to create a dynamic piece is what I really try to do. As for the line decoration, I picked something that would accentuate the form rather than distract from it. So in a similar way, this piece was created out of several different pieces. The top is a gallery set lid. It's something that I do on my jar forms, and the actual if you can see, the form itself is actually taken from the form of this cup. So in the construction of this cup, I had a lot of detailed drawings, and it led me to want to experiment with that in new ways, see if it fit with any other objects that I make. And so I came up with this one. There's a little bit different aspects to this teapot than most people's teapots. Usually people have a spout that's protruding off the piece, and I choose to get something a little more slimline, but and with a similar glaze in the salt fire decoration.
So you still are very Asian influenced. You have a watercolor over there that kind of suits the same, a watercolor and an ink, and you just see in the majority of your porcelain pieces that are just very Asian inspired, and it seems to be more meticulous and more thought out. And like you were describing your abstract design with meticulous, it's amazing the things that you come up with. And where, I know you said you started out Asian influence, but it didn't quite work at first. When did it start really clicking?
Yeah, you know, I wanted to right off the bat, simply because I've been heavily influenced by the Asian culture since a very young age. I started Kung Fu when I was 9. I later joined karate and then became a teacher of that for the past 2 years. So it's something that's always been with me, and so I wanted to share that part of myself. But you know, coming to terms with the processes of clay. Clay reacts to drying and moisture, and there's a lot of variables to consider. So what I thought was that I need to first make a good piece. Once I can make a good piece, then maybe I can tell the story of my life. So when I started adding the Japanese and Chinese influences into the ceramics, it wasn't just on a whim. It was a lot of studying, a lot of knowledge about the culture and their heritage and the language, and a fusion of all those elements to create not only a good piece that has a nice look, but a really scholarly piece. And that's something that's been very important to me, is to create a work that somebody wouldn't, of Asian orient, they wouldn't look at it and say, you know, this is mimicking our work. But more when they saw it, they would say, this is a good representation of our work. And, you know, I really want to do that justice.
Let's see. So I'm guessing your favorite style or form of art is Asian inspired. I'm assuming that's probably safe to say.
Yeah, I like sumi paintings and Japanese wood blocks. I try to fuse a lot of those elements into the work. But I like other things as well, the classical painters. And my great-grandfather was a traveling signsman, and my grandfather started a sign company in Grand Junction. So needless to say, I'm a signman. And the cool thing about signs is that you deal with a variety of medias. You're never tied to one specific thing. And so before I even began ceramics, I was doing a lot of different styles of art, whether it be masonry or neon or lit cabinets, channel letters, vinyl applications. So there's just so much to do, and I really love my job. It gives me a chance to express art on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm. And just be really creative with every little thing, every little sign, and really working with a bunch of different people as well, and their influences and what they find attractive and beautiful. So
yeah, there's nothing better than the continuity between two people. When a customer comes in, or even with the ceramics, if somebody asks me to make them a piece, it's really their vision and my vision together, and there's a relationship there, and that is a beautiful thing.
Where do you see your art morphing into from here? What's the next step? Do you see one yet, or is that just every piece kind of morphs every day?
You know, I tend to view where I'm at in ceramics as a success already. And not only that, but in other medias. Being an artist already established in the community, and by that I mean I make art on a day-to-day basis. So I feel like my position is a little bit different. I'm still going to grow and I'm going to learn, but really I don't want to be tied to a specific style, and I don't want to have this false view of my work that it's going to go somewhere that it may not. But if it does, I'm along for the journey. I'm open for the ride, and I tend to see life as like a boat that sets sail and it's yet to find a destination. And wherever that leads, I'm open for.
It's a great thought. And be open-minded about where you may end up, but you have no clue as to what that is right now.
Yeah, and part of it, I guess the greatest part of having that kind of attitude towards it is that it allows you to constantly think like a child. To not be afraid to express yourself in a new media. So, once you get into just reproducing pieces over and over, we call that production. And in that, it kind of steals the art side of it. The art is the expression of learning and not being afraid to be vulnerable.
That's brilliantly said. Is there anything your viewers, fans should know about you or your art that we haven't touched on yet?
If I was going to say anything to somebody who wanted to purchase art, I would say, really purchase what you are attracted to. If you find a piece that you like and that communicates with you, that's the piece for you. As long as there's continuity between you and the art that you're purchasing, you're going to enjoy it in the long run. And so my hope is that if anybody were to see my work, that they would, if they identify with it, then it's found a home. If somebody wanted my work just because it's made by me, it tends to not mean as much. But, if you truly like the piece and it talks to you, then, that's the piece.